Welcome to the Management Functions and Organizational Processes lesson on organizing. By the end of the video, you will learn about the concept of organizing and analyzing work, different approaches to organizing and analyzing work, work improvement and measurement, and time and motion study. You will also learn about ergonomics, workspace and architectural ergonomics, and impact of information technology on organizing work. Organizational structures form the backbone of any successful company, dictating how tasks are divided and coordinated. Whether it's grouping activities by function, such as marketing or finance, or by product lines like cosmetics or electronics, the goal is to streamline operations for maximum efficiency. The matrix organization is a modern marvel, blending the best of functional and product-based structures. It's like assembling a dream team for each project, where each member brings a unique skill set, ensuring a comprehensive approach to problem solving and project management. Centralization versus decentralization is akin to the difference between a monarchy and a democracy. Decision-making power is held by a single entity, while in the latter, power is distributed among many. As companies grow, embracing decentralization allows for faster, more responsive decision-making at all levels. In today's digital age, the flow of information is crucial. Technology bridges the gap between data generation and decision-making, enabling decisions to be made anywhere, anytime. This real-time connectivity transforms the way organizations operate, making them more agile and informed. The hierarchy of management and the span of control are the pillars of organizational structure. They determine how guidance flows through the organization, from the CEO to the frontline employees. A well-defined hierarchy coupled with an optimal span of control ensures that management is both effective and efficient. Unity of command is essential for reducing confusion and enhancing accountability within an organization. When employees report to a single manager, it clarifies expectations and streamlines communication, leading to better performance and fewer conflicts. Line and staff relationships represent the backbone and the nerves of an organization. Line functions drive the organization towards its goals, while staff functions provide the necessary support and expertise. Balancing these roles is crucial for a harmonious and effective organizational operation. Staffing is not just about filling positions, it's about finding the right person for the right job. From defining job roles to selecting the ideal candidate, each step is crucial. It's like casting for a blockbuster movie, where every actor's performance can make or break the film. Motivation and leadership are the heart and soul of any organization. A motivated workforce, led by visionary leaders, can achieve the impossible. It's about inspiring each member to give their best, ensuring the organization's success. Consider a bank teller's role within the banking organization. This position exemplifies the practical application of organizing principles, from the delegation of authority to the clear definition of job responsibilities. It's a microcosm of organizing in action, ensuring smooth and efficient customer transactions. Organizing work is about more than just assigning tasks, it's about creating a symphony of collaboration. By dividing work, establishing clear hierarchies, and ensuring effective communication, organizations can achieve their goals more efficiently than ever before. Organization charts are the blueprints of a company's structure, showing the division of labor, the delegation of authority, and the intricate network of relationships. They provide a clear, visual representation of how an organization is structured, making complex relationships understandable briefly. Frederick W. Taylor introduced a revolutionary idea that work could be studied scientifically to improve productivity. Taylor observed workers using a variety of tools and methods, many of which were inefficient. Taylor designed tools and work processes that significantly improved productivity. His approach was simple yet groundbreaking: understand the work deeply, measure it accurately, and optimize it scientifically. Through his methods, Taylor was able to reduce the number of workers needed dramatically. At the Bethlehem Steel Works, for example, he reduced the workforce from 500 to just 140, all by optimizing how work was done. This wasn't just about cutting jobs, it was about enhancing efficiency, reducing fatigue, and making work sustainable. These principles were not just theoretical. They were applied in factories, changing the nature of industry. Taylor's work led to the clear delineation of authority, separation of planning from operation, and the introduction of incentive schemes for workers, fundamentally changing how organizations were structured and managed. Henry Ford took Taylor's principles to the next level with the assembly line, significantly increasing production and wages. This approach not only improved productivity but also transformed the concept of work, creating the mass worker and establishing a new era of manufacturing. However, the intense focus on efficiency led to unintended consequences, paving the way for the human relations approach. Stemming from the famous Hawthorne studies, this approach shifted the focus towards the social and psychological needs of workers. It recognized that productivity was deeply influenced by social interactions, group dynamics, and the satisfaction of workers' social needs. Let's delve into work improvement and measurement, essential components of effective organizing. Work improvement, or ergonomics, focuses on optimizing work conditions, methods, and equipment for better efficiency and worker satisfaction. Meanwhile, work measurement assesses the time and effort required for tasks, providing a basis for fair wages and efficient work planning. Central to these concepts is the time and motion study. This methodical approach analyzes how work is done, aiming to eliminate waste and standardize operations. By understanding and measuring work, organizations can achieve greater productivity, better use of resources, and improved worker satisfaction. Imagine a workplace where every motion is analyzed for efficiency. This is the essence of micromotion studies. Utilizing high-speed cameras, we capture the minutiae of worker actions, dissecting each movement to identify and eliminate wasteful motions. This meticulous scrutiny enables us to refine operations, ensuring that every action taken is purposeful and contributes to overall productivity. Through the lens of the camera, we gather data, meticulously counting the frames to deduce the time each motion takes. This precision allows us to construct the CMO chart, an invaluable tool that visually represents the synchronization of motions. By aligning tasks on this chart, we gain insights into efficiencies and areas ripe for improvement, paving the way for streamlined operations. Now, let's delve deeper into the principles of motion economy, conceptualized by the pioneering Gilbreths. These principles are the cornerstone of ergonomic efficiency, focusing on the optimization of worker movements. By minimizing unnecessary motions, promoting symmetrical and rhythmic movements, and encouraging natural and habitual actions, we create a workplace that is not only productive but also reduces worker fatigue and increases satisfaction. Consider the transformative power of simultaneous hand use. This principle isn't just about speed, it's about harmony and balance in physical tasks, which significantly enhances efficiency. Similarly, the strategic positioning of tools and materials to minimize search and retrieval time is a simple yet effective way to cut down on wasted effort, enabling workers to focus on the task at hand with minimal distraction. Turning our attention to time study, we enter a realm where every second counts. Initiated by F.W. Taylor, this methodical approach to measuring task duration allows us to establish benchmarks for performance. The essence of a time study lies in its ability to adapt to the nuances of human performance. Recognizing that not all workers operate at the same pace, we aim to establish a standard that reflects the capabilities of the average worker. This inclusivity ensures that performance benchmarks are both motivating and attainable, fostering an environment where every employee can thrive. Ergonomics, or human engineering, is where design meets human need. In this domain, we study the intricate relationship between workers and their environment to craft spaces and tools that align with human physiology and psychology. The goal is to reduce strain, prevent injuries, and enhance comfort, thereby boosting productivity and overall well-being in the workplace. The principles of ergonomic design extend beyond mere comfort. They are a testament to the profound impact of thoughtful design on work efficiency. By aligning tools and equipment to the natural movements of the human body, we not only prevent physical strain but also enhance the intuitive use of workspaces, making tasks smoother and more enjoyable. In the digital age, information technology has revolutionized our approach to organizing work. IT enables a level of flexibility and connectivity previously unimaginable, allowing for innovative work arrangements such as teleworking and virtual organizations. These advancements have fundamentally altered the landscape of work, breaking down geographical barriers and fostering a more inclusive and dynamic work environment. Technologies like hot desking and hoteling represent more than just a shift towards space efficiency. They embody a cultural shift towards flexibility and autonomy in the workplace. By embracing these models, organizations can reduce overhead costs while offering employees a choice in how and where they work, aligning work arrangements with individual preferences and lifestyles. And that's it for now. We conclude this lesson. For additional information on this lesson, please look at the content below the video in the online course. To get a list of the important questions and their answers for this lesson, please refer to the guidebook by our publications provided to you with this course for free. It shows you a list of all the questions that have the highest chance of coming in your next exams based on research carried out on previous year question papers. All the best, and I'll see you in the next lesson.